Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Crosstalk. Well, Peter, now that the Afghan debacle is over for the time being, the liberal media, in particular the New York Times, is gearing up for the next big issue. So today, the number one issue is the ruling by the US Supreme Court, which we'll talk about on another occasion. But another issue is the hardy perennial, the January the 6th, and in particular, the January the 6th special committee appointed by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. This committee has, last week, had instructed seven federal agencies to keep all of the records of President Trump as to what he was doing on that day, on January the 6th. And then the other day, the chairman of this January the 6th committee, Benny Thompson, has written to about, 35 telecom agencies, demanding that they preserve the records, not just of President Trump, but of their congressional colleagues. In particular, they list 11 Republican colleagues, that they preserve the record, and presumably preserve the record is preliminary to their subpoenaing these records. New York Times, much of the media is banging on their tables with really excitement. It's great, now they're going to get these records. But this is really a completely outrageous overreach by Congress. I mean, imagine they're basically investigating their colleagues. Not that they have any evidence at all that any of their colleagues were involved in the riot, took part in the riot, ordered anyone to riot. All that these 11 did, it was, some of them in particular, was calling into question the credibility, veracity of the November the 3rd election. Something Democrats had done on a regular basis. They called the certification of elections on a regular basis. They did that after the 1968 election. They did it after the 2000 election, did it after the 2004 election, they did it after the 2016 election. They did it all the time. But what they really want to do is to keep this whole January the 6th hysteria going, try to throw as much dirt up into the air as possible, so that when it lands, it's going to muddy somebody or other, and try to do as much smearing as possible as they head towards the midterm elections next November. So, Peter, what's your take?
Well, we predicted this absolutely from the very. The smoldering Capitol was still smoldering when we predicted this was going to happen. I mean, number one, I guess Trump made a lot of phone calls that day. Okay, he was on the phone a lot, apparently. Right. Look, when it comes to Congress, they have an ethics committee. It should be taken care of there. They're looking at their own members. It's up to them to do how they govern their own body, okay? And Nancy Pelosi is speaker. She has a lot of power. I suppose that she could demand the ethics committee look into this. I suppose that's not overreach. But going outside, and these are privacy issues. There's no probable cause. What is the smoking gun? What's the predicate? Right. Okay, I mean, if you're going to say this lawmaker's called this lawmaker and said this and incited this, if you can prove that, if you have witnesses, then I would say, okay, if you're making that claim, then very specific laser-like focus on that. Right. But this is a fishing expedition. They're just throwing a huge net and they're going to see what they can haul in. And this is unconscionable. And what they're going to do is it's just going to snowball. Okay. Oh, we found this, and it's an ethics committee, blah, 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 and it's just going to be, it'll be like Russiagate, looking for something more to claw onto.
Yeah, and this is why it clearly links to Russiagate, because after all, a key figure in this is Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is on this committee. Adam Schiff was on the first impeachment committee. He headed that whole first impeachment. And of course, he was on the key player in Russiagate. And this is the consequence, really, that there's been no accounting for Russiagate. It was a hoax. It was a deliberate hoax perpetrated by the Democrats. They knew perfectly well from the start, because they'd had the evidence before the committee, that there was no evidence of any connections between Trump and Russia. They knew this, but they kept all of the testimony secret, and went off to the media and tell, well, we've seen direct evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. And so, because there's been no accounting of this, they can now do exactly the same thing here, to pretend, oh, well, Trump and all his allies, they were involved in some sedition, they want to overthrow the government, and they just keep that accusation going. And of course, they're not going to come up with any evidence of this, because there is no evidence of this, but just keep the story going.
Yes, and they're losing momentum, because now you have the DOJ coming out. Well, we're still kind of looking, and a lot of these things here were just press. I mean, they're basically trying to cover their tracks right now, because they know. I mean, I guess they're going to have a couple of Proud Boys. Is it 2% or 3%? I don't remember what percent it is. They got those guys, and they'll be the ringleaders and all of it, irrespective. I mean, and they also know. The reason why they have to go and do this dragnet is that there'll be inquiring minds like you and I here at the Gaggle and say, well, how many FBI informants were there actually? Okay, and they know that's a big problem. This is redacted. This is who is that?
Right.
And it looks like he's a ringleader from the text here. Okay, they know that's a dead end, and then of course they want to go after people like Jim Jordan and all that, because they really have a visceral hatred for him because of his strong support of Donald Trump. And this is, everyone needs to put this into context here. If you were in Trump's orbit and you publicly remain there, you are targeted. Okay, look at Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, it was just, I think yesterday, the day before yesterday, 2 news cycles ago. I mean, the conspiracy thing that he made public actually was true. I mean, here's the DOJ.
Who'd have thunk it? Yeah.
Really hates Matt Gaetz. Yeah. I mean, really hate. And even they had to say, this is hoax. Okay, not all of his legal problems are over. Not all of his problems are over, but that's a big one.
But when you say not all his problems are over, but the fact is that story, the story that the whole thing triggered everything, was this, that he was supposedly transporting underage girls, transporting them across state lines. Well, where is that? Where are those charges? We were supposed to hear, well, any moment now, those charges are to come down. He's suspected of underage child trafficking or whatever. It never happened. So, it was a smear job. And you have to say just that, when he came up, you remember when he appeared on Tucker Carlson and he outlined the story, most people just thought, this is wild. I mean, this looks so ludicrous. Even Tucker Carlson thought that this is such a wild, ludicrous story. But looks like there was something to it.
Well, isn't it really interesting, George? Let's think counterintuitively. Is that Matt Gaetz was made aware of the story, and the people that perpetrated this knew it sounded so outrageous. And when Gaetz would come out with it, he would look like a babbling idiot. I mean, he was played. I mean, and very successfully. And months later, it's half a year later, he's been able to get his name exonerated to a certain level in the public. But again, with these phone calls, what does this phone call mean? What do you mean by that word? Okay, we're gonna go down this thing. I mean, it's a perfect McCarthy-like tactic, and you have Adam Schiff that already has had one rodeo in all of this. I mean, this is like Netflix 2.0. It's January 6th. Okay, The thing is that because the DOJ is playing a little loose foot here, I think Nancy's getting really, really nervous, because They're the ones that have the muscle. Okay, they can have all the rhetorical. Oh, you heard that Liz Cheney is now
vice chairwoman,
vice chair? Yeah.
In the end, it's a totally meaningless gesture, because the attempt to sell this as bipartisan is so absurd. I mean, since Liz Cheney is utterly rejected by her own party, I mean, she obviously doesn't represent the Republican Party.
I think Kevin McCarthy is going to grow a pair finally, because he's not very smart.
No.
They have to throw her out of the caucus. What does that mean, everyone? Is that, they're just going to ignore her? She's not going to have any committee seats. I mean, she's duly elected by her district, and she'll have her office, have her staff, and and she can go vote, but she's going to be completely. And it should have happened a long time.
It should have happened a long time ago. It was ridiculous that she's been allowed. I mean, given that she spends all of her time sabotaging the House Republican caucus, I mean, the idea that they keep her on there is absurd. But again, the media, of course, are all very much for yes, subpoenas, a legal subpoena, and they're absolutely entitled to see all this. Cast your mind back to 2015. You remember when the FBI wanted to see the Apple telephone of, they wanted to crack into the Apple telephone of the San Bernardino shooter, and Apple said, no, we are absolutely determined to protect the privacy of our users. And then everyone said, well, Apple, standing on principle, determined to protect the privacy of their users. Now apparently the privacy of the users, that's all gone. No, this is a legal subpoena. They have to comply with this legal subpoena.
Bank of America and I think it was Wells Fargo running with bated breath. We have data on the rioters. You want it, okay? Which we're not lawyers, but at least prima facie, that is a violation of people's privacy. Okay?
I think so.
I don't know the fine print. It's always in the fine print.
Right, okay? right. But it is in the fine print. But that's the thing that we're not lawyers. This gets into quite arcane lawyerly thing. Is this legal? Is it not legal? But the New York Times just categorically said, "Oh yeah, well this is all legal." They cite no basis for saying that this is all legal. To me, it seems like they're violating privacy. There are all sorts of. The Constitution has the Fourth Amendment about unlawful searches and seizures. And the fact that the government doesn't have a right to go on a fishing expedition, that they can just look for evidence and then sort out, see if they can find something to nail you on. I mean, that's precisely what the founders wanted to avoid. You can't have government just targeting individuals and then just rummaging around among that individual's records in order to prosecute them.
Rummaging around. That's exactly what it is. Wasn't it Beria said, show me the man and I'll find you the crime. And that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is.
Right.
We'll find something.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. No, if there's no predicate, then if I were the judge, I'd throw it out. You're on a fishing expedition. There's no time for this. If you have a predicate, prove your point in discovery. If not, get the hell out of my court. That's the way it should be.
It should be. Now, Kevin McCarthy, as I say, he's spoken very strongly. He said that if these big tech companies comply with this subpoena and they do release these records to the committee, we will not forget this and we will take action against you when we gain the majority. Nice idea, but while Kevin McCarthy is there, I have my doubts, and unfortunately, there are too many Republican congressmen, as of course congressmen of all parties, with their hand out from big tech. So, always suspicious about, well, we're gonna, they had 4 years to crack down on big tech, and they didn't do it. So
they never
wary of this.
They never worry about their tip jar, George.
That's right. The tip, yes. Apple, Tim Apple, as Trump called him.
Ting, 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 ting.
Ting, ting, exactly. All of them. I mean, so that's why, they've been threatening, we're going to do this, we'll have regulation, we'll have antitrust, all these other things. What happened? They had 4 years to do it.
We can go into greater detail at another time, but one of the Republicans that are being targeted, he is a very well-known recipient of big tech Silicon Valley money. Okay.
Right.
Roll up sleeves. Hint,
Roll up
hint.
sleeves, yes.
All right, everybody, we're on Locals. So type in thegaggle.locals.com. George did a live stream yesterday. Is that on our page?
It's on our page. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
And tomorrow we're doing the super chats on YouTube. So live stream yesterday, that was just me. But tomorrow, super chats are going to be both of us, and it will be at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So tune in. We're going to have a lot of fun as we did last time. So looking forward to it.
We also are doing Q&As. I think we have about 3 of them there. If you want to talk to us via Zoom in a private conversation, which you can record yourself for posterity if you wish, please do that. The store is up. And of course, I have already mentioned the tip jar. I can see the bottom of the jar.
I can see the bottom, exactly. And Tim Apple has not put in any coins into our tip jar, and he can afford it, but he has not done so. So because he has not done so, it's incumbent upon the fellow gagglers to contribute what they can. So, but we're very grateful for all of your help and all of your support. It's meant a lot to us. So, and the more you can help us, isn't that adorable? I mean, how can you say no to him? So,
all right.
Yes. But remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.